Hello, and welcome to the Teacher Toolkit for Classroom Observation instructional video, which is an essential multi-sensory instrument which can be used to help guide the early childhood educator and parents. This video will be presented by the Practicum 4 Group 7 students whose e-tutor is Miss Anne Dupwell. We will begin by defining what a toolkit is. A toolkit is a set of teaching strategies, observation, and assessment tools used for a particular purpose within the classroom, which consist of an accessible summary of educational research and observational tools geared towards a sustainable educational development. Using a toolkit allows for supporting evidence resulting in informed decision-making. It provides guidelines for the teacher on how to use their observation and assessment techniques and how to improve educational outcomes and developmental growth for their students. It also acts as an introduction to educational research that is reliable and/or has validity. One may ask for the justification of using a teacher toolkit for observation in the classroom. Let us go through the logic behind it all. Teaching toolkits are beneficial to the classroom as it provides constructive feedback to the teacher, which helps support and improves his or her teaching practices, which ultimately reinforces student learning outcomes. Having a toolkit specifically geared towards observation can and will impact you, the professional, and the parent by equipping and enhancing your skills in becoming 1. A skilled observer, which gives you the ability to prepare, carry out observations, reflect, document, and record findings. 2. The ability to observe children's behavior in the various domains: physical, social, and emotional, intellectual and cognitive, and language. 3. The ability to build your observation skills using the types of observations: the anecdotal, running records, time sampling, and the checklist. This can be used to gain insight into the various developmental stages of children, as well as understanding and cooperating with the processes children use to learn in addition to their milestones. 4. The ability to assess children's learning styles, strengths, weaknesses, and interests using quality and effective assessments that are ongoing and are developmentally appropriate for a solid foundation of basic skills. Therefore, this instructional teaching toolkit video for classroom observation will enhance your skills in observation, assessing, and documenting, which will in turn enable you to make informed decisions as you will now be a skilled observer. I now allow my team member Brenda to explain and guide you through the use, functionality, and benefits of the checklist and the anecdotal records in our teacher toolkit for classroom observation. Thank you.
Thank you, Camille. The objectives for our toolkit are to document the skills in learning for each student across developmental domains, to determine the level of skills possessed in each stage of development, to track progress across domains during each quarter, to successfully provide learning and teaching opportunities geared towards individual learning needs, to ensure that each child is provided with relevant instruction, materials, and resources that aids in the developmental of their milestones. The 4 samples of observational instruments that we chose to present from our toolkit are anecdotal records, running records, time sampling, and observation checklists. Observation checklist. When carrying out the observation checklist, you have to have the name of the child, the age, the time of the observation, the date of the observation, the person who is observing the child, and the area of the observation. When carrying out the observation, you must observe only one child at a time. Tick the appropriate box for the action required. Record facts and not what you would like to see. A report can be prepared from a completed checklist. It can also be designed to observe any particular child's development. Anecdotal record. You must document the name of the child, the observer, the setting, the age of the child, the time, and the date. Instructions. When documenting the information, use verbs in the past tense. Use the observation heading to document everything that is seen or heard during the observation period. Document both spoken and body language. Be objective and concise in your statements. Under the interpretation level, write your own findings. The learning development column should be used to indicate the student's strengths and weakness in some, if not all, areas of development based on the behavior. In the future planning column, document recommendations and strategies that can be used to help the child. I now hand you over to my colleague Kenisha, who would explain time sampling and running records and conclude our video.
Thank you, Brenda. The next instrument in our toolkit is that of time sampling. Time sampling, as the name suggests, is the recording of information in time intervals. It is quite different from anecdotal records and checklists in that you can observe more than one child at a time. To begin time sampling, ensure that you have a watch or a clock nearby. The form has the appropriate headings. Use the appropriate headings to complete the observation: the child's name, the date, the time, the observer, the type of behavior being observed. Time sampling is used particularly to record the frequency of a particular behavior. Decide on how long you would observe the child. For example, for every 15 minutes for an hour, or you can observe for every 10 minutes for an hour, or for every 5 minutes for an hour. These are called the time intervals. Ensure that the observation takes place at the same time intervals every time. For example, if you decide to observe Amy every 15 minutes, you should observe Amy every 15 minutes. Do not vary the time to every 15 minutes or every 10 minutes or every 5 minutes. Check the child's behavior at the exact time, not before the time or after the time. So if you decide to observe Amy every 15 minutes, do not check before the 15 minutes or after the 15 minutes. This will ensure that your information is precise. Write exactly what is taking place at the time of your observation. Report your findings and state how often the behavior occurred. Recommendation and further notes can be made for your consideration. The next instrument in our toolkit is that of running records. Running records are an efficient and effective way to record independent behavior in students. They provide a rich source of information that can be used to document what a child has learned on an ongoing basis. It is recommended that we observe one child at a time when using running records. The form has the appropriate headings. Use the appropriate headings to complete the observation. Fill in the time of the observation, the date, the name of the observer, the age of the child, the focus, and the setting. Record only the facts of what you see. For example, if a child is crying, you would record the child is crying. Do not add anything or take away. Do not say the child is crying because he is sad. Avoid using words that judge or interpret. Don't record what you believe, suspect, or infer from the child's actions. Record every detail. Do not leave anything out. Recording every detail is important as it would help you to make informed decisions. Record behaviors in the order in which they occur. It is ideal that you label and separate your comments. For example, the child's needs, the child's interests, the child's skill levels, and recommendations. Conducting classroom observation using a variety of toolkit instruments is extremely beneficial to the parent and teacher for the documenting, processing, and assessing of students' overall development. The Teacher Toolkit provides a rich source of information that is valuable when implementing effective and efficient teaching and learning strategies. We have come to the end of our presentation. I hope the information presented will be beneficial for you in the classroom. Thank you.